Yo, what up? This is Red Zone in the Lab podcast. I am Deuce, and today we have a quick hitter with AJ Perez, just to kind of break down where we are within these last 3 weeks of the Commanders sale. We want to talk about the trademark with the Commanders, and also this whole Brian Davis thing. And again, thank you so much. This is Deuce. On the other side of this, we got AJ Perez.
This is Hog Farmer Chris and the 2022 Commanders Fan of the Year. Before you listen to Red Zone in the Lab podcast, I want to thank you for your support in bringing awareness to the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation, which helps children and their families affected by pediatric cancer. You truly make a difference. And with that being said, please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube.
We're back! Welcome back to Red Zone in the Lab with Deuce.
Welcome back to Red Zone in the Lab podcast. As you know, I am Deuce, and joining us is a friend now. You're on here a lot, so we do thank you for joining again. AJ Perez from Front Office Sports. How you doing today, man?
Busy, but not doing too bad.
Yeah, working that bankruptcy thing, man. It's crazy. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Commanders, and I just want to go back a week or so, AJ, just to kind of talk about with the report came out about Josh Harris and the bid or the financials not looking too good. Some changes need to be made. They kind of was talking about how many partners he actually has up to like 25 and all those different types of things. So it's been a lot going on Twitter. I try not to figure it out. I just reach out to you, tweet at you, AJ help us. So that's why you kind of here now, just to kind of, break it down for us in the simplest form. Let us know what all that means.
Yeah. So we're at a quiet time now. So it's been about 3 weeks, I think now. Yeah. Since the deal went final. So we're kind of at a quiet period. We at the owners meetings last week in Minnesota, we kind of heard from Irsay and a couple other my sources that, around July 4th, we're going to find out when the date for the special meeting is going to be. Now, the special meeting could be about a lot of different things. They could have 3 different things to vote on. Well, first, the Commanders. We're looking at a late July to mid-August timeframe for approval for this at the special meeting. But the special meeting could also be Goodell's extension, as well as they're going to have to approve, and I'm sure it's going to be done by then. They are going to have to approve Josh Harris and David Blitzer, who are partners in this, who also own the Sixers and the Devils together. They're gonna have to sell that 5% stake in the Steelers, and that's probably going to be in place. So there'll be 2 Josh Harris related votes actually. So yeah, it's kind of everything's they're still reviewing it. I think the complexity is, as you mentioned, the 20 limited partners, which I wrote last week, and that just creates that's what makes this deal really complex. On top of the money, but which is a huge amount of money, $6.05 billion. But it's really just having to vet all of those 20 limited partners, and which is under the limit. You could have up to 25 owners for an NFL team. So that would be the controlling owner and 24 limited partners. It's well within that. So it's, I don't expect any hiccups. I know there's been reports about issues and this and that. And, there's a lot of this is, it's a big sale, and it's not, we don't have a Walmart heir buying this team like we did with the Broncos. And who knows if this would be the same thing for him. Coming up with $6.05 billion is not easy. Even if you have it, you have to liquidate, you have to move stuff around. And it's been, it's a lengthy process.
Some of the rules that are in place when it comes to sale from the NFL, and it seems like the NFL really wants Dan out. So to me, it seems like they're looking to rewrite any rule that they need to rewrite. But is there a rule that they may have to rewrite or make an exception for?
I don't know about this sale. I think they, everybody I've been talking to that, this so far, it's the view of the sources I've talked to that, this deal complies with the NFL rules, which means 30% liquidity, which Josh Harris will have to come up with $1.8 billion, which he has, and move that over as part of the sale. Now, there's, the whole $1 billion of debt financing that is not accurate. There is probably some financing in this, but it's not to that amount. So that's not going to cause an issue there. So the debt rules, the limited partner rules, the 30% rule have all, for my sources, this deal has all that. We're just kind of it's the review process right now. It's still with the NFL Finance Committee, who's going to set that date for that special meeting this summer.
For the team, like we've heard all types of and you just kind of mentioned it, like when this can be done, 3 months, 6 months. Does the NFL have because we know that there are no more meetings scheduled, I don't believe, until October, November, but I'm sure the NFL, once everything is finalized, how soon can they come to a vote? Like, does everyone have to be present? Can they do it over Zoom? Like, how does that work?
Well, since the pandemic, it's gone back to meeting in person. So that means all the owners will have to fly in, or some of the designate someone very close to ownership. Sometimes if the principal owner can't make it. So yeah, usually it's within about 2 or 3 weeks after the finance committee comes forward with their recommendation. And it's not a yes or no thing. It's just it just kind of moves on. And they set that date, and it's usually about 2 or 3 weeks after the finance committee is done is when they'll schedule a date, but it's usually 3 weeks after the NFL Finance Committee is done with their review. So if it's done, we heard around July 4th. If it's done, which is we got 4 weeks. So if it's done within the next 4 weeks, this review process, then they'll set the date, and it'll be 3 to 4 weeks after that, 2 to 4 weeks. It's kind of a moving thing. It's kind of, they don't like to meet that often, so it's not. So we weren't gonna get a meeting next week anyway, because they just met last week. So they like to space it out, and Josh Harris wasn't going to expect to make any changes, major changes at least. The biggest changes are going to be when he comes in is fan experience and reaching out to corporate sponsors who may have left the team, and those they'll hit the ground running there. But they weren't expected to make any changes with the coaching staff or the front office up until maybe after the season's over. I wouldn't expect anything major. Now, granted, if the team loses, if things aren't going well, they could maybe mid-season change. But Josh Harris and his partner David Blitzer, who was among the 20 LPs in this purchase of the Commanders, they historically with their other two teams didn't make any changes for about a calendar year.
Is there any way that Josh Harris can approve any transactions right now?
No, he has no contact. The NFL Constitution bars him from having any kind of influence or really much contact at all with the team, and that includes that's why you don't really have the coaches or anybody else saying they've been talking to Harris about this and that, because really it's Josh Harris wants us to go through, and I think the last thing he wants to do is to create a situation where it would delay the process if he starts meddling before it gets the team. I think where there's not been, there's Magic Johnson obviously talked to the Maryland governor a few weeks back, so they can do things outside of the team, start working on that stadium that they need to build. But outside of that, really, there's no influence, to bear. It's not like Jason Wright, Jason Wright's calling up Josh Harris or texting him and, hey, should I make this move? What do you think of this? That's not happening.
Before we get started with the podcast, I want you all to go check out You Grow Girl. That's Grow, Grow, written by a dear friend of mine, Jay Smith. It's for daily affirmations for Black women. It is filled with beautiful, colorful images of Black women and powerful affirmations. You can find it at Amazon at Amazon.com.
I'm like, for me, I'm good with the sale, right? I don't have any doubts that it's not going to happen. When it's going to happen is not really a concern to me, because I really believe it's going to happen before the season kicks off. But just to kind of dab a little bit in the USPTO, the Patent and Trademark Office thing about the Commanders, you have anything you can kind of simplify that for us?
Yeah, I wouldn't. There would be a trademark battle no matter what. It's funny that it came to this and it took this long. But it does. It's not this one is I'm not saying it's an easy win, but it's not going to take much time. I think they're going to keep using the name. There's really this is not the Cleveland Guardians who picked a name that was being used at Cleveland Guardians by a sports team. That's not the case here. I think the whole prior art and everything else, that'll be worked out. Will there be a settlement of any kind? Payment? Maybe not. But I think I'm sure there's some good patent and trademark attorneys who are all over this right now. And I wouldn't say a minor thing, because potentially it could cause an issue, but it's nothing major. And we've seen these things pop up in sports. It's 2023 that every name's taken, and I think that was one of the issues why they didn't go after another name, because a lot of these trademarks are taken, and some of those trademarks were being held on to that could cause issues. This is one of the reasons they probably selected Commanders, is that there was, while there's this one similar name, it's not going to be as heated in the U.S. Patent Court, U.S. Patent Trademark Court. So it's not. I know everyone wants to change the name. This is not going to be the reason they do.
Yeah. Okay, Brian Davis. When we first heard about him from morning radio show,
Junkies, and then Darren Haynes,
yeah. So Darren Haynes came in like on this second little wave. But the first time was with the Junkies, and we kind of talked about it. Where was your confidence level through this whole process with Brian Davis?
Yeah, when he bid $1 billion more or said he bid $1 million more, wanted to bid $1 billion more, why would you bid $1 million more? Why it's $1 billion? That's how much Steve A, who was part of this. Yeah, he's going to be buying the Senators possibly for $1 billion. So you're saying you're telling me you're going to bid $1 billion more? That's the cost of another sports franchise. It just didn't make any sense. None of it made sense. And the documents I obtained that were not filed in the case, it raised so many issues. I'm not going to post them. There's so much information in there that maybe I'll post part of it. It just, whether it came from the Philippines or something else. And I'm like, I'm getting names, sources telling me this is where the money's coming. You can't really tell. Also, those documents don't say what the purpose of the transfers were for. He had 2 transfers totaling $5.1 billion sent in March, but it didn't say, this is to buy the Commanders. Bank of America, this is towards the Commanders purchase. Without that, plus it went through California, where Brian Davis's company doesn't operate in, and isn't licensed to operate in that state. So that made it automatically voidable by Bank of America. Now, one thing we don't know, and I've been trying to get this, is whether this money actually arrived at Bank of America. We don't even know that. The lawsuit was very strange. Especially the $500 billion demand request when it was filed 2 weeks ago, basically. It was like, I've never seen that. And this lawyer, he could be a great bankruptcy lawyer, because that's what he usually handles, the bankruptcy cases. He doesn't do a lot of this kind of litigation. So so I did question him, question why he took this case on. Didn't like those questions, but those of us who have talked to people close to Brian Davis or heard Brian Davis on the radio or with Darren, none of this made sense. And I did a deep dive into it. Didn't answer a lot of questions. Came from the Saudi money. Was it just fake? You can't just, the money just can't show up. If there was like a $6 billion lottery, those don't exist, I don't think. But at least you'd know where he got the money. He got it from the state lottery or Mega Millions, Powerball, whatever. We don't know where it came from, and you just can't. You just can't all of a sudden show up with billions of dollars when you've had all these issues in the past with lawsuits and such over like real estate development. What those all were. You just can't do that. Can't just have a history of that and then show up with a bunch of money and not expect questions.
That was just like, and then when he went back on the radio, that whole interview was just like a mockery. It was crazy. And then when the first lawsuit came out, I think I even replied to your comment from Horrible Bosses, MF Jones, right? It was like, how you go from
that's a great, give me your watch. Yeah, it was like negotiating. It was like, I want $500 billion. I want $990,000, right. Just under $1 million. So that's a 99.9% reduction in demand in a few days. And then the hearing last Friday went so poorly. It was just like, the judges don't usually say a lot, but there was question. You could tell that judge was like questioning, how valid this stuff is. And so that hearing went as poorly as probably a lot of us expected to.
All right. So where are we now with Brian Davis? Is that it? Are we done? Is he going to pop up again for some reason?
Who knows? I don't know. I mean, I messaged one of the business partners, business associates, and he was confident. He was the one that told me, this is real to Snyder in the NFL, and the lawsuit said Snyder didn't even know about it. So, it's been a strange, and I just don't get the end game. I mean, maybe a shakedown, maybe, but the evidence that I've seen so far, that's
against Bank of America, though. Like, that's
yeah.
crazy.
And I mean, where are the $5.1 billion? It's like, do they exist? Are they a Bank of America? Does the federal, since this came from out of the country, does the federal the Federal Reserve would have to forward the funds to Bank of America? What do they do with the money? It's, there's a lot of questions, and where the money is, and if it was real. So I don't have those answers yet.
Yeah, that's sad. So like when the sale is over, what's next? Like, what's going to be your next big project?
No, I've been on other stuff. So I'm doing the Senator sale now, which could be concluded the next couple of days. But yeah, we've been go back to Brett Favre, reporting on him again. That's been taking the Commanders. Unfortunately, took a lot of my time, so I wasn't able to get to that. That's a pretty major case, and I've been on top of that one, probably more, just as much, or if not more, than the Commanders. There's always issues. There's always things for me to cover, especially when you deal with the legal side of sports.
Yeah, thank you so much, AJ. And that Brett Favre case is very interesting to me on so many different levels. So I might be reaching out once I get caught up on where we are, if you wouldn't mind coming on. But again, thank you so much, and let everyone know where they can find, because he's very active on Twitter. AJ, he's very funny, man.
Yeah, I try to be. Yeah, try to be a little sarcastic sometimes. Yeah. So at Twitter, I'm at BYAJ Perez. So that's by AJ Perez, and frontofficesports.com. Subscribe to our free newsletters twice a day during the weekdays, and we have weekend features as well. So you get caught up in sports, business, culture, and all that stuff.
Yep. Thank you so much. And thank you all out there for listening. Thank you for watching. This is Red Zone in the Lab podcast. I am Deuce, one beat, one sound, one heart, one love.
Thank you for listening to Red Zone in the Lab podcast. Please subscribe to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Google, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Also, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. One beat, one sound, one heart, one love.